I sit in my leather armchair, feeling the weight of time heavy on my shoulders as I gaze at the antique clock my father gave me 50 years ago. At 65, each tick seems to carry more meaning than ever before. The morning sun filters through my study window, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air, much like my thoughts. Swirling with memories of a lifetime spent chasing other people's dreams, my mind wanders back to 1975, when at 16, my father mapped out my entire future. Harvard Business School, followed by a position at the family's investment firm. "Time waits for no one," he would say, pounding his fist on the mahogany desk. I nodded, suppressing my real passion for writing and photography, choosing instead the path of least resistance. The choice I made that day set the tone for the next 2 decades. Every morning, I would straighten my tie, paste on a smile, and step into the gleaming elevator of our corporate building. My authentic self buried beneath layers of expectations. The pursuit of money consumed my days, while my soul yearned for something more fulfilling. I remember Sarah, my first wife, who saw through my facade during our college years. "There's no joy in your eyes when you talk about banking," she would say, touching my cheek gently, but the pressure to maintain our lifestyle, the Hampton house, the Mercedes, the country club membership, created a chasm between us. Our marriage crumbled under the weight of my endless work days and her growing resentment. The betrayal came in 1990 when I discovered Sarah had been finding solace in the arms of my best friend, Richard. The pain of that discovery was a watershed moment, forcing me to confront the emptiness of my existence. At 31, despite my millionaire status, I felt spiritually bankrupt. It was in solitude that I began to find my way back to myself. Long walks in Central Park became my sanctuary, where the simplicity of nature offered more wisdom than any board meeting ever had. The peace I found in these moments of reflection sparked a recognition. I had been living someone else's life. Energy I didn't know I possessed began to flow through me as I made small changes. I started journaling. Capturing my thoughts and dreams, I bought my first real camera, photographing the quiet moments of life that others rushed past. These small acts of authenticity became my lifeline. My father's reaction to my gradual transformation was predictable. "You're throwing away everything we built," he thundered. But for the first time, I felt the strength to stand my ground. "I'm choosing to build something different," I replied, my voice steady despite my trembling hands. The connection I felt with my true self grew stronger with each passing day. My priorities shifted from accumulating wealth to accumulating moments of genuine happiness. The relationships in my life began to change too. Some colleagues drifted away, uncomfortable with my new authenticity, while others, surprisingly, drew closer, inspired by my courage to change. As the morning light grows stronger, I smile at my reflection in the window. The gray hair at my temples and the lines around my eyes speak of a life lived. But it's the clarity in my gaze that tells the real story. At 65, I have finally learned that freedom isn't about having unlimited choices, but about having the wisdom to choose what truly matters. My hand reaches for my camera, my constant companion now, and I capture the way the light plays on the old clock. Time, once my enemy, has become my teacher, showing me that it's never too late to begin again, to find purpose in the simple act of being true to oneself. Looking back at 1991, I recall the first time I truly embraced solitude as a choice rather than a punishment. After Sarah's betrayal, I had spent that entire year avoiding connections, treating my heart like a vault that needed to be sealed forever. Trust had become a foreign concept, as distant as the dreams of youth I had abandoned so many years ago. Each morning, I would wake before dawn, haunted by memories of catching Sarah and Richard together at our vacation home. The pain of that betrayal had carved deep valleys in my soul, but it also sparked an unexpected journey toward authenticity. I began to question everything: my choices, my relationships, my definition of fulfillment. My father couldn't understand my withdrawal from society. "A man of your position needs to maintain connections," he would lecture, his voice heavy with disappointment. But I had grown weary of the superficial relationships that came with wealth. The country club gatherings, the charity galas, the board meetings, they all felt like elaborate performances where everyone wore masks of success while hiding their inner emptiness. It was during this period of reflection that I met Claire, a photography teacher who would later become my closest friend. Unlike the people in my corporate world, she saw right through my millionaire facade to the lost soul beneath. "Your camera captures what your heart sees," she said during one of our first conversations, pointing to a black and white photograph I had taken of an elderly couple sharing a quiet moment on a park bench. The simplicity of Claire's wisdom touched something deep within me. Through her guidance, I began to explore photography, not just as an art form, but as a way to reconnect with life's genuine moments. Every Sunday, we would meet at different locations, capturing images that told stories of real people living authentic lives. These moments brought me a joy I had never experienced in all my years of closing million-dollar deals. My transformation didn't go unnoticed at the firm. Partners who once sought my company now avoided eye contact in the hallways. The energy in boardroom meetings shifted whenever I questioned the ethical implications of our investments. My newfound clarity made them uncomfortable, as if my journey toward authenticity was a mirror they weren't ready to look into. By 1993, at 34, I made a decision that shocked our social circle. I stepped down from my position as senior partner. The freedom I felt in that moment was indescribable. My father, red-faced and trembling, accused me of destroying our family's legacy. "You're choosing pictures over purpose," he spat out. What he couldn't understand was that I had finally found my true purpose. The change in my priorities led to unexpected connections. I discovered a community of artists and photographers who valued creativity over currency. Among them was Isabella, a painter whose approach to life would eventually teach me to love again. Unlike Sarah, whose love had come with conditions and expectations, Isabella's love was as free as her spirit. Time moved differently in this new chapter of my life. Instead of being measured by fiscal quarters and profit margins, it flowed through moments of genuine happiness. Early morning light painting the sky in golden hues, shared laughter over coffee with true friends, the quiet peace of watching Isabella lose herself in her art. Looking back now, at 65, I understand that relationships aren't about quantity but quality. The wisdom that comes with age has taught me to value those connections that nourish my soul rather than drain my energy. Some people are meant to be in our lives forever, while others are there to teach us important lessons before moving on. The balance I've found didn't come easily. It required courage to break free from the golden handcuffs of my past life, to disappoint those who thought they knew what was best for me. But in choosing authenticity over appearances, in valuing peace over power, I discovered a richness that no amount of money could buy. I close my journal, feeling grateful for the journey that brought me here. The sun has risen fully now. Casting long shadows across my study, my camera sits ready for today's adventures, a symbol of the freedom I found in following my heart. Life, I've learned, is not about the destinations we reach, but about having the wisdom to choose the right path, even if it means walking alone for a while as I turn another page in my weathered journal. Dated 1995, my heart tightens at the memory of the day Isabella left. At 36, I thought I had finally mastered the balance between solitude and connection, but life had other plans. The wisdom I thought I possessed was about to be tested in ways I never imagined. Our relationship had blossomed like a desert flower, unexpected and breathtaking. Isabella's art studio became my second home, a sanctuary where time seemed to flow differently. Her canvases captured emotions I couldn't express in photographs, and together we created a world where authenticity reigned supreme. But as our love deepened, so did her restlessness. "Your piece feels like a cage," she told me one rainy evening, her paint-stained hands trembling as she packed her supplies. "You've found your purpose in stillness, but I need chaos to create." The irony wasn't lost on me. I had finally learned to trust again, only to discover that sometimes love means letting go. Claire stood by me during those dark months, her friendship a beacon of stability. "Some souls are meant to touch ours briefly," she said, helping me organize my first photography exhibition. "Their purpose is to teach us about ourselves, then move on." The clarity of her words didn't lessen the pain, but it helped me understand that relationships could be both temporary and meaningful. In 1996, an unexpected letter arrived from Sarah. Seeing her handwriting after 6 years stirred a complex mix of emotions. She wrote about her failed marriage to Richard, about regret and forgiveness. The old me would have felt vindicated, but the freedom I had found in my new life left no room for bitterness. Her betrayal had become the catalyst for my transformation, and for that, I felt an odd sense of gratitude. The energy of that period propelled me into my most creative phase. My photographs began telling stories of human connection in all its forms, the joy of reunions, the dignity of aging couples, the quiet happiness of solitary figures finding peace in their own company. My work caught the attention of several galleries, and suddenly, the money I had walked away from in banking seemed insignificant compared to the fulfillment of touching people's hearts through art. By 1998, at 39, I received news that would test my newfound balance. My father had suffered a severe stroke. The man who had once dominated boardrooms with his presence now struggled to form simple sentences. As I sat by his hospital bed, holding his weakened hand, I witnessed a profound change in him through his vulnerability. We finally found an authentic connection. "I see now," he whispered one evening, his eyes fixed on a photograph I had taken of a father and son flying a kite. "You chose wisdom over wealth." Those words, spoken with difficulty but deep sincerity, healed wounds I didn't know still existed in the simplicity of our new relationship. We found the connection that had eluded us for decades. My father's recovery period taught me about different kinds of strength. The man who had once measured success in dollar signs now found joy in small victories. Taking a few steps, speaking a complete sentence, sharing a quiet moment watching the sunset. His transformation mirrored my own journey from the pursuit of power to the embrace of life's simple pleasures. Time continued its relentless march forward. By 2000, at 41, I had established myself in the art world not as a millionaire's son seeking a hobby, but as a photographer who captured the essence of human experience. The choices I had made, though difficult, had led me to a life rich in meaning rather than money. Looking up from my journal now, at 65, I realized that each relationship, with Sarah, Isabella, Claire, my father, has been a teacher, even in moments of deepest solitude. These connections shaped my understanding of love, trust, and purpose. The happiness I feel today isn't built on the absence of pain, but on the wisdom gained from embracing both light and shadow. My camera sits ready for another day of storytelling, but now I understand that every image I capture is more than just a moment frozen in time. It's a testament to the beauty of choosing authenticity over expectation, peace over pretense, and the courage to remain true to oneself, even when standing alone. The year 2002 brought unexpected changes to my life at 43. While sorting through my father's papers after his passing, I discovered a series of letters that shook the very foundation of my understanding of trust and family relationships. Hidden beneath decades of financial records, I found correspondence between my father and my mother, who I had believed abandoned us when I was just 5 years old. The truth that emerged from those yellowed pages was devastating. My father, in his obsession with maintaining our family's social status and wealth, had orchestrated my mother's departure. He had threatened to destroy her reputation with fabricated evidence of infidelity unless she left quietly, allowing him to craft the narrative of the abandoned husband who sacrificed everything to raise his son alone. The betrayal cut deeper than Sarah's infidelity ever had. My hands trembled as I read my mother's desperate pleas to maintain contact with me, and my father's cold responses threatening legal action if she tried. The weight of this revelation nearly crushed my newfound peace. But the wisdom gained through years of solitude helped me navigate the storm of emotions. Through a private investigator, I learned my mother was still alive, living a quiet life as an art teacher in a small coastal town. The irony of our shared artistic souls wasn't lost on me. At 44, in 2003, I found myself standing on her doorstep, camera in hand, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. Marie, my mother, opened the door, and time seemed to stop. Her silver hair and gentle smile reflected an inner grace that years of separation couldn't diminish. "I knew you would find me," she whispered, touching my cheek with trembling fingers. "I've followed your photography career from afar." Seeing my own love for art living through your lens, our reunion brought both joy and pain. The process of rebuilding our relationship taught me new dimensions of forgiveness and authenticity. Marie shared stories of watching me grow up through newspaper clippings and exhibition announcements. Saving every piece that mentioned my name, her small apartment was a shrine to the connection we'd been denied. Walls covered with prints of my photographs she'd collected over the years. In 2005, at 46, I faced another test of character when Claire was diagnosed with aggressive cancer. The friend who had stood by me through every storm now needed my strength. I temporarily closed my studio, dedicating my energy to supporting her through chemotherapy sessions. Our roles reversed. Now I was the one offering wisdom about finding peace in life's darker moments. During one particularly difficult night in the hospital, Claire confessed something that changed everything. "I've loved you since the day we met," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "But I knew you needed a friend more than a lover." The revelation stunned me, forcing me to reevaluate every moment we'd shared. The depth of her sacrifice, choosing my healing over her own happiness, humbled me completely. Claire's recovery in 2007 coincided with an unexpected email from Isabella. She was back in the country, married with 2 children, and wanted to meet, over coffee. We shared stories of the paths our lives had taken. The passionate artist who couldn't be caged had found her balance in motherhood. While still maintaining her creative spirit, our meeting brought closure and reinforced my belief in the power of time to heal all wounds. By 2010, at 51, I finally understood that true fulfillment comes not from the grand gestures of life, but from the quiet choices we make each day. My relationship with Claire evolved naturally into something deeper than friendship, but different from conventional romance. We created our own definition of love, based on mutual respect and understanding. Looking back now at 65, I realize that every betrayal and every revelation served a purpose. The money and status I once chased seem meaningless compared to the richness of authentic relationships. My mother, now in her 80s, continues to teach art to children, sharing the passion that runs in our blood. Claire, my partner in all things, still challenges me to see the world through different lenses. The choices we make, I've learned, create ripples that touch lives in ways we can't imagine. My father's decision to prioritize wealth over truth cast shadows that lasted decades. But even those shadows eventually led to light. In the end, happiness isn't found in the absence of pain, but in the wisdom to see how every experience shapes our journey toward authenticity. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. I absolutely love reading your thoughts, and your feedback inspires me to keep creating these amazing stories.